A raised garden bed planter that self-waters from the bottom up, is easy to make, works like it should, and will last years? I'd like to see that. G'day, I'm Mark from Self Sufficient Me, and today I'm going to show you guys how to make one of these self-watering or wicking raised garden bed planters. Let's get into it. Firstly, what's the big deal about self-watering raised garden beds? Well, the concept actually comes from the self-watering pot idea, which are containers with a small water reservoir in the base that keeps the potted plant hydrated for longer periods. A crude way of making your own is to sit a standard container in water, and it will wick up the moisture to the plant roots like a kerosene lamp wicks fuel up to keep the flame going. In a wicking bed like this, the water reservoir in the base is covered by a series of plastic cells containing small holes, and the soil acts as the wick, sucking up the water, meeting the plant's root system as they grow down. So what are the main benefits of a self-watering system like this? Well, the first one is it saves time. You don't have to water it every day. Holidays, good for going away on holidays or vacation without having to set up a watering system. Evaporation, good for hot, dry climates where evaporation is a problem, or just excellent for water saving in general, especially for gardeners who have water restrictions. Helps limit disease. It's good for damp weather situations where plants susceptible to disease from rot or fungus related issues like tomatoes don't have to be watered as often from the top, thus limiting the spread of such problems. Retains nutrients. Less watering from overhead, if you can imagine. It reduces the amount of nutrients that's either washed through the bed, through the medium, or washed away, so that those fertilizers remain longer in the bed and are able to be taken up by the plant's roots. Consistency helps stop inconsistent water supply, which can be the cause of cracked fruit, bitter tasting crops, or early bolting to seed. How do we put one of these puppies together? Well, this bed comes as a kit from Birdie's Garden Products here in Australia, so you don't have to buy parts separately and then try to retrofit them together. Assembly is easy. There's only 6 parts really to put this thing together. The outer raised garden bed frame, pond liner for the base, geofabric to line the sides, an overflow pipe, an inlet pipe, and some wicking cells. Start by screwing the frame together. They usually come with a protective plastic covering, so remove this first. Arrange the pieces in order and then screw them into each other using the nuts and bolts provided. I recommend only hand tightening until you have all the screws in, and then go around and fully tighten. Once the frame is done, position the bed in a location that gets good sun, especially if you're using it for vegetables, and make sure that the ground is level. Because this type of garden bed uses a water reservoir, it obviously must be placed on an even surface, otherwise it won't work as it should and you won't be able to lay the wicking cells down properly. Using a level to check that the bed is square is a good idea, and depending on where you site the bed, you might have to dig it out like I had to in order to seat it down properly. The pond liner goes in next, taking note to match the end with the outlet pipe hole to the pre-stamped hole in the garden bed frame. At the same time, I installed the wicking cell that contains the outlet and inlet pipes by cutting out the hole for the inlet or filler pipe to go into. I used a box cutter for this, and make sure you cut only around the area clearly marked, otherwise the pipe won't fit snugly. I then fitted the outlet or overflow pipe, securing it with zip ties, again ensuring it was positioned so it aligned with the holes in the liner and the frame. After that, it was a matter of placing the rest of the wicking cells in the base of the bed as neatly as possible on top of the pond liner. I then pushed on the plastic strip that goes around the top of the garden bed frame. Next was fitting the geofabric around the inside of the frame, and this is designed to stop soil from falling down the gaps between the sides of the bed and the wicking cells, keeping the water reservoir free from debris. Using some tape to hold it in place helps when fitting and keeps it up until the bed is filled with medium. The last thing I did before filling the bed was secure the wicking cells together with zip ties, so that over time the cells won't move around and create any large gaps. Then it was just a matter of filling the bed with medium, and for a self-watering wicking bed planter garden like this, you don't want to use a medium that's either too heavy or too light and sandy either. I recommend using good quality potting mix, to begin with anyway, and then over time you can work on improving the soil with added compost, etc., like any other no-dig type raised garden bed. To save a little cash, I used two types of commercial mediums. One was a cheaper but still good medium that I placed on the bottom, and the other was a more expensive premium potting mix I used to top the bed off. Make sure you press the mix down as you go to fill the bed properly and limit sinkage later through the growing phase. The final thing I added was some loosened mulch. You could use sugarcane mulch, wood chip or leaves, but the point is this mulch layer gives even more protection from water evaporation and helps insulate plants' roots from high and low temperatures. Mulch also breaks down over time and adds nutrients back into the soil. Then it's time for planting, and you could grow most crops in a bed like this, but I thought kangkong would be a good match for a wicking bed, and I was right. Kangkong is a leafy vegetable, often called water spinach, because it can be used like spinach and it's found growing in waterways. But with constant access to water or moist soil, it also grows well in ground. Once I finished planting out the kangkong seedlings, I then filled the wicking bed reservoir via the inlet or filler pipe until it ran out of the outlet pipe, meaning the chamber was full. Kangkong turned out to be the perfect crop for this bed. So good that the animals were eating it also, and that's why I covered the bed with a frame and net made from irrigation piping cut to size, some stakes, bird netting and several clamps. I later planted some rat's-tailed radish for the edible seed pods, and both the kangkong and radish grew well for several months. There did need to be some initial watering overhead to help establish the crops, but after that only the reservoir required topping up about once a week. Overall, I was happy with this wicking bed build and the operation over the last several months. If you wanted to raise this bed up, like you didn't want to do too much bend over gardening, you could put it up on bricks, like a layer of level Besser bricks, or on a frame of some sort. So that'd work all right. Can you use it in these higher side beds? No, not really. They're too high for the wicking cells like that. It really works best in a bed that's about a foot or so high. Anything bigger and that water won't be able to wick up enough to meet the vegetable or plant's root system. Where can you get these? Well, like I said in the beginning, this wicking bed is from Birdie's Garden Products here in Australia. But if you're in the USA, a little birdie told me the other day that they're close to getting a deal with a distributor over there in the US to sell these types of beds. I'm not sure if they're going to sell this exact bed, but I know they're working hard to make sure that it's easier access for USA customers to get these types of raised bed gardens that I use, including this one hopefully. So watch this space, and as soon as I find out some more information, or when it gets closer, I believe it should be around mid-year, so in time for your spring, I'll let you guys know about it. Anyway, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make a raised bed, wicking bed planter like this. If you did, give it a big thumbs up, and also share it around and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye for now. Yeah, I'm really happy with this, really happy. What do we plant next in this? If you got any ideas, let me know in the comment section below. Cool.